of Life, a show about Jewish books, music, film, and web. I'm Heidi Estrin. The Book of Life is a podcast service of the Feldman Library at Congregation B'nai Israel in Boca Raton, Florida. Additional support comes from the Association of Jewish Libraries. Well, I went back to Book Expo America this year in 2010, and I think the publishers are finally getting used to having me shove a microphone in their faces. They were really good sports about it, and I want to send out a virtual high five to everyone who conquered their stage fright and gave me these terrific interviews. As in past years, I recorded so much material that it will be spread out over several episodes. Today we'll hear about adult books of Jewish interest. In future episodes, we'll hear about children's books, we'll hear from Judaic publishers, and we'll hear quite a few in-depth interviews with authors. Now, on to the show.
Hi, I'm Ardia Stewart, and I'm the publisher of Palgrave Macmillan, and this is a fantastic book by Abe Foxman, the head of the ADL, the National Director of the Anti-Defamation League. And this book started off as a result of a conversation I had with him post the Bernie Madoff scandal, where we had been talking about the fact that many people took the Bernie Madoff scandal as an opportunity to bring to life again the horrible myths about Jews and money.
And so, Jews and Money is the title of the book.
Yes, Jews and Money, the story of a stereotype. So we were talking about that, and we were talking about how a good book about Jews and money and the horrible stereotype has never really been written. And so that's, how the book came to be, and it's really fantastic. He talks about the history of the stereotype as well as the modern myths and dispels them, and it's a really very powerful book.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
I am Juan Gómez Jurado. I am a Spanish author, born in Madrid, and I am a thriller author, a writer and a journalist. The novel that I am introducing you today is The Moses Expedition. It's an international thriller that is set in the Jordanian desert as well as in the United States, that also has very interesting characters, as for example, the main character is Andrea Otero, that is a Spanish journalist that goes with the Moses Expedition to look for the Ark of the Covenant. I came to write this book because I was very involved with Jewish culture, and especially with a movie that influenced me when I was a young child, Riders on the Lost Ark by Steven Spielberg. And actually the Kennedy Marshall duo are working on an adaptation of this book into a film. They are reading it right now. And they are also were the producers of the Indiana Jones movies. So it's kind of a feedback that took like 30 years to be completed. And when I was a young kid, I was very involved with those adventure movies. But when I grew up and became myself a writer, I thought that those amazing adventures could be told adding a component that could show the people real events of the real world. For example, in this book, for me, it's very important that we speak about the Shoah and how the Jews were affected by what happened in Germany in the Second World War, and especially how does it affect to one of the characters. It's the link between what happened then and what's happening nowadays with Islamic terrorism and all the rest, So I try to give an explanation, especially how hate and difference affect to the people.
That sounds really interesting.
Yeah,
and
thank
did
you.
You say that some of the characters are real people?
Well, we actually use a few real people characters. One of them, it was an evil character that appears at the beginning of the book. It was the butcher of Spiegelgrund. This butcher of Spiegelgrund, it was a Nazi doctor that killed 743 Jewish children during the World War. It's a little bit changed from the real life character. In my novel, this character goes in hiding, and then one of the main characters of the book and bring him to the justice, But in real life, after the war, he became a politician and he had immunity. So this person died at the age of 87 or 89, I can't remember exactly the age, in 2005. and he died free and out of guilt. And I thought that this was disgusting. And that's something that was one of the jump starts of the novel.
So in your book, you righted that wrong.
Yeah, well, I changed the character a little bit just to not make it exactly the same that it was, but I explained it at the end of the novel in my author's note, just to explain to the people what things in the novel are right and which aren't, you know.
Thank you very much.
Thanks to you, Heidi.
Hi, I'm Eileen Barth from Red Rock Press, and since we're talking right now about some Jewish books, the first one is this funny book, I'd Bark, But You Never Listen, by Harold Kimmel, who is a Hollywood humorist. He used to write for The Letterman Show. He's written for anybody who comes across as really funny because he's very hilarious. And he did like 35 kinks of Jewish dogs and, of course, their owners. And he also did the illustrations, which was a complete surprise to us. We had commissioned the book. We loved the jokes. We were about looking for an illustrator, and he said timidly, well, you know, I draw a little. And he saw them, and they were just great.
Great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
My name is Ina Stern. I'm the associate publisher with Algonquin Books, and we've just published Steve Stern's The Frozen Rabbi. And the Frozen Rabbi of the title is actually a rabbi who ended up in the bottom of a freezer in Memphis, Tennessee in 2006. How did he get there? All the way from the old country in the 1800s, and he was revived. There was a power outage, and the rabbi comes to life. This is the story of his adventures from the time he got frozen until he got revived, how he got carried from generation to generation. People took responsibility of carrying this ancient frozen rabbi from country to country, city to city, until he ends up in Memphis. It's a wonderful story by a writer who is at the top of his form here. It's funny, it's smart. It was serialized on tablet for, I think, 15 weeks, and you can buy it at your favorite bookstore.
It reminds me of Sleeper, the Woody Allen movie.
Yes.
Sleeper?
Yes, it's like that. Well, he when he does wake up, he becomes an evangelist. So there's a lot more to the plot that I can't tell you. It's a big, raucous book. The writer really conveys what it was like to be in the old country as well as in Memphis in this century.
Right.
He's actually a Jewish guy who grew up in Memphis, so he knows what he's talking about.
That sounds like a load of fun.
It is a load of fun. It's gotten great reviews, and it was just published, I think, 2 weeks ago. So we have a lot more reviews to come.
Oh, so when it was coming out serialized in tablet, that was pre-publication?
We did a pre-publication. Well, we wanted to give people a taste of what was to come. We did that really well, but there were a lot of people who were disappointed because they didn't realize it was being serialized up to a point. We couldn't just give the whole book away.
Right.
And suddenly it was cut off, and everybody thought that was the end of the book.
Oh,
so
no.
People were a little bit upset that they weren't getting the whole thing. But you can go out to the store and buy it. That's right. Now they can read the ending. And I think that the serialization is still up, archived on tablet, so you can still read it.
Go buy the book.
Get a good taste of it.
Okay, tell about your other Jewish interest titles.
Peep Show by Josh Braff is a story that takes place in the 1970s in New York, at the time when the burlesque houses were kind of turning into more peep show, adult-rated entertainment. It's the story of one family where the wife has become immersed in Hasidic Judaism, and the husband owns a peep show.
Oh, what a combination.
And the son, who is 18 years old, is trying to figure out what to do with his life. Should he follow his mother into Hasidism, or should he follow his father into the world of pornography? And he happens to be a photographer. So you can guess which way he decides to go. So it's the story of this family. It's his second book. His first book was on the unthinkable thoughts of Jacob Green, which we published a few years ago. And the other book that we're bringing out is called A Curable Romantic by Joseph Skybell, whose first book was A Blessing on the Moon, which we published 13 years ago, which is an amazing, amazing book. It's a Holocaust fable that he wrote because he lost so many of his family in the Holocaust, and it was never spoken of. And it's a brilliant and actually, I don't want to say funny, but he puts an incredible spin on the story that he tells. It's a story of someone's afterlife. It's just brilliant. And the new book, A Curable Romantic, it actually covers 50 years of Jewish European history from the 1890s to the 1940s. And it travels from Poland to Vienna to Paris and back to the Warsaw Ghetto. And it follows the life of one man, Dr. Samuelson, who is like a Zelig of his time, where he ends up brushing up against all of the great thinkers of his age. So he falls in love with Freud's most famous patient, Emma Eckstein. And he meets Freud and becomes a friend of his. And Freud wasn't Freud then. You know, he wasn't the famous Freud. He was just a guy. And he gets involved with Dr. Zamenhof, who was the founder of Esperanto. And you learn so much in this book about the early days of psychoanalysis and about the Esperanto movement. And then he takes you back to the Warsaw Ghetto for the conclusion of the book. It's a big, sprawling, 600-page book that took him 6 years to write. We're very excited about the potential for this book. So,
Great. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
I actually work as a publishing consultant
Okay.
and a literary agent. My name is Nigel Yorworth, and I work with a number of independent publishers and help them to package their books so that they'll be successful in the marketplace, so that they can get into Barnes & Noble, Borders, etc.
Okay.
And right now we have a couple of books that would appeal to a Jewish audience. One is called Muslim, Christian, and Jew, Finding a Path to Peace Our Faiths Can Share. The author is Dr. David Liepert, and what he has done is he's looked at the three religions, and in studying them has shown that they really all agree with each other, and that if we could eliminate politics, that people really could live together in peace, because they're all Abrahamic traditions. And so his goal in writing the book is to bring people together and to help people understand that these other faiths are really their brothers and sisters and shouldn't be thought of as the enemy. The publisher is Faith of Life Publishing. That's one book. Yeah, it's called Unifying Truths of the World's Religions, Practical Principles for Living and Loving in Peace. And the author, C. David Lundberg, is just fascinated by the idea that all of the world's major traditions have certain elements that they agree on. So he's taken 33 principles and then taken quotes from each of the world's religions to show how similar they are. And it's won 4 National Book Awards. The National Indie Excellence Book Award, the USA Book News National Best Book Award, the New England Book Festival, and it was a finalist with Forward Magazine's Book of the Year Award, and also won the Nautilus Silver Award.
Wow.
So it's kind of nice.
Very nice.
So,
and this is a different publisher? Who's the
yeah,
publisher of this
the
one?
publisher of this is Heaven Like Press.
Great. Well, thank
Great.
you very much.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk with you.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I'm Shelley Rosen, and I'm with Sounds True. We're a book and audio, music and DVD publisher. And I'm talking about this book called Living Fully, Dying Well. It's just won 3 gold medals from various award categories. And what I love so much about this is that it's like an interfaith conversation about living and dying and starting the conversation about what death means to all of us and getting over our fears. And Reb Zellman is one of the primary featured authors in it, and he has practices at the end of the book about life review, and it's also got Buddhists and nuns and integrative medicine specialists, grief counselors. So it's a beautiful book that just makes you feel like you're sitting at a kitchen table speaking with the authors.
That's a great description. So it looks like it's like collected essays. Is that the format?
You know, it was based on a conference where all of these authors got together, and it was edited together by Netanel Miles Yepes, who works with Reb Zalman. And so it's been edited to a point where it feels like a conversation, where you really feel like you are having that one-on-one different views from so many different faiths.
Very cool.
Yeah. Okay, so our other book that is one of my favorites is called Hebrew Illuminations, and it's an art book that it's beautiful for gifts. It's a large format, and it's mandalas that Adam Ryan has developed for all the letters in the Hebrew alphabet and the major holidays. So there's it shows his sketches of how he starts them out, and then a full-blown color image, and then the story about it, and how art is really a divine practice for him. Cool. And it's been one of my favorite books all along.
What's the title?
It's called Hebrew Illuminations by Adam Ryan.
Adam Ryan. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mark Chimsky-Lustig, Editor-in-Chief of Sellers Publishing, located in Portland, Maine, the fastest-growing independent publisher in the country. We are doing a book called America's Great Delis, Recipes and Traditions from Coast to Coast by Cheryl Bellman. This is a fabulous, entertaining tour of the great delis in the country, featuring the coveted family recipes from each of these delis. So you'll learn how to make wonderful chopped liver, wonderful breads, wonderful stuffed cabbage from the 2nd Avenue Deli. All the great delis are in here from coast to coast, and it's a real must-have for anybody who loves deli cooking, and you don't have to be Jewish to love this book.
That must have been a great, fun book for doing the research. Did you get to participate in that?
I didn't participate in the research. I was lucky enough to meet Cheryl today, in fact, for the first time. Cheryl Bellman, who did enormous, extensive research, sometimes flying out to all these delis to meet with the owners to really, get them to trust her so that they would give over their wonderful recipes to her. And she's got the best ones.
So I'm just imagining, as you say, that she had to get them to trust her, like with a forest animal, that you have to sort of creep up on it.
No. I think
she
just showed them that she was genuinely enthusiastic about what they were doing. Because the book is not only recipes; it's writing about the traditions of these delis. It's writing about the history of these delis, and I think they saw that she really respected that history and that tradition.
Right.
And that's what makes this book so unique, because it's a combination of both the history, the traditions, and the recipes along with it.
Right. She had to get them to see she wasn't just looking for free food.
Exactly right. Very good.
Right.
Yeah. So I hope your readers and listeners appreciate, and will go and buy this book. Available in bookstores across the country.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of fun. It looks like it has a lot of pictures as well.
It's heavily illustrated,
yes.
Full color throughout, with ephemera memorabilia from all the kosher delis throughout the country, so you really get a flavor, both literally and figuratively, of these delis.
Yeah. Now, we were talking before we started recording, there is this other deli book that came out recently, the David Sachs book. It won a Canadian Jewish Book Award, I think.
And it also won a James Beard Award recently.
Oh, good. I didn't even know about
yes,
that.
David Sachs just won.
Does that help or hinder to have two books on the same topic coming out around the same time?
Oh, I think it helps, because I think it shows that people are really so fascinated by this subject, and they're hungry to learn more about this subject. And I think David's book is different enough, that they complement one another. We don't see it as competition, but really as a compliment.
Right, that's great.
So I hope your listeners enjoy it.
I'm hungry now, so.
Good, well, enjoy. Essen, mein Kind.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
There are so many ways to connect with the Book of Life. Fan us at facebook.com/Book of Life Podcast. Follow us at twitter.com/bookoflifepod. Email us at bookoflifepodcast@gmail.com, or leave us a voicemail at 561-206-2473. You can also listen to the latest episode by phone at 916-313-3820. And of course, find links to everything at bookoflifepodcast.com. The Book of Life is a podcast service of the Feldman Library at Congregation B'nai Israel in Boca Raton, Florida at cbiboca.org, and is supported in part by the Association of Jewish Libraries at jewishlibraries.org. Our background music is provided by the Freilach Makers Klezmer String Band at freilachmakers.com. Thanks for listening, and happy reading.